Hi everyone, my name is Ruxandra, and today we are going to export assets from Quill into Unity and build a VRChat world. So we have quite a lot to cover today. Okay, I'm going to start with this environment that I've already built, and I'm going to show you how I organize the layers. So
can you zoom out a little bit so we can see the world first?
Yep, okay.
Nice.
Okay, so this is the world, and I'm just going to quickly tell you why I've painted it this way. So you see that the house and some of the other assets don't have shadows painted in, but for example, this ground has shadows painted in. That's because we're going to use two shaders. One second. We are going to use two shaders in Unity, one that has shadows and one that is lit. So basically it's just flat shades. And the water, we're not going to export that because we're going to have it in Unity. But yeah, so because we are going to use two shaders, I have structured my layers in such a way that I can easily apply the two different shaders to each asset. So I have the stuff that I'm not going to be exporting. The flat shader, which is basically just the outlines and the doodly stuff, I thought it would actually look really cool in VRChat because there's no easy way of building this kind of style in any other software. So this kind of cartoony hand doodle does not really exist. So I think it's really cool to bring it in. And so the way I've done it is I've just exported meshes without animation and anything else. We don't need anything else. And we're just going to call it that because I've already exported it and flipped some of the normals beforehand. So I'm going to show you both how it looks with the raw export and then with the flipped export. Okay. And to actually get the animation on the flag to work, which I do have it here. No. Yeah. At the moment is the only animation I've added to the scene because I don't want it to be too heavy, because we're going to publish both for PC and for Android, which means Quest, and I don't want it to be too laggy. So to get this to work, I'm actually turning off everything else, apart from, obviously, the flag. Yes.
Did you use the Yari trick for the flag? Or
No,
just
this is just
nudge,
normal nudge.
simple nudge? Yeah.
Just plain old nudge. Okay. So to get that to work, you export FBX, export mesh, big transform, and export animation. We're going to leave it to color space linear, is the one that Unity reads well. And just going to call it flag 2 because I've already exported it before. So yeah, basically that's us. We've exported all of the assets, and now we're going to jump into Unity. We are going to create a new project, and I'm going to call it Toon Island 2 because I've already done the Toon Island first. Okay, create. While that is loading, just an important thing to go over is the limitations for Quest publishing. I'm gonna link all of the resources that I found, all of the important information as well. I'm gonna link it after the stream, but we're just gonna quickly go over it right now. Basically, these are the requirements for posting on Quest without it, glitching or crashing, and that's the worst thing you can do to a VR user.
So if you don't meet these, they wouldn't show up on Quest, right? The worlds, or would
Okay.
they still show up?
So you can go over the poly count. It's not a hard limit. You can easily go over it and not have any consequences. The thing is that this sort of takes into account that you import 3 audio sources as well, and lights. Those take a lot of processing power too. So normally it is advised that you go for 50,000, but you can easily go over without worrying. I mean, what I've done before definitely had more, and I haven't noticed any issues with it. Because there are other steps that you can take. For example, baking your light, and not adding 50 lights.
Right.
From here, we are going to import our SDK. At the moment, the SDK that works with this version of Unity, which I suppose I should talk about it because it's very important. VRChat only works with specific versions of Unity. The one that is active at the moment is 2018.4.20f, F1. So it's very important. If you don't have the right version, it will not work. And also, you need to keep updated on the SDK releases. And the best way to do that is to join their Discord channel. Otherwise, I haven't seen alerts anywhere else. So it's very important that you have all of the up-to-date resources. So I'm going to drag that in. And like everything in Unity, and today it's going to take just a little bit of time.
It's all right.
It's just because it has a lot going on. It's doing a lot. So with building worlds for VRChat, you don't actually have to do any coding, or you don't even have to truly learn how to work with the Udon graph. It is possible to download prefabs, which I can show you right here. This one here. The SDK Udon prefab list is, I think most of them are free to use. Always read the license. It's important to read the license. But pretty much you can download them from the respective links and import them into your scene. You can replace the meshes of the prefabs with your own Quill work. That can work whenever you want to customize them. Or you can just, learn the code and learn the Udon graph yourself. Okay, so now that the SDK is there, we're not going to be needing this now. Some of the prefabs, you have to keep in mind that they require Udon Sharp to work. They're all available on the VRChat website, and I'm going to link everything, so it's easy for everyone to find it. But for now, we're just going to go in here and use our exported assets. So I'm going to use this one instead of this. No, actually, I'm going to show them both just super quickly. Yeah, so it didn't take that long to load. And now we're going to talk quickly about the shaders. There's, let me show you. There's quite a few shaders that you can get. Again, free shaders off GitHub. And in this endeavor, GitHub will be your absolute best friend. You can find so many resources here and almost anything that you need. Now, I've gone through most of them and tested all of them that worked on this version of Unity. And I have to say that out of all of them, probably the best pack is Nick Fox's pack. I think he's actually in the Discord, in the Virtual Animation Discord as well. Maybe if anyone wants to reach him. But his is the best because he has both shaders that are going to be most useful for this. One of them is a flat shader, which basically gives you the colors of what you would have in Quill, exactly. And the other one is a PBR type of shader. I did notice one issue with it, and I'm going to show you. But first, I'm going to just import them all. Okay, so after you import your assets, this isn't absolutely necessary, but it does keep your scene a little bit more cleaner. We're going to do that later. Okay, so first we make the materials that we're going to apply the shaders to. So I'm going to call this Quill flat, so I know it's the flat shader, and drag this into it. And already you can see, let me focus on an actual object on there. Yep. Already you can see that this applies all of the colors that you had in Quill without any change whatsoever. It's absolutely perfect. And now we're going to create another material. I'm going to call it No Shadow because this is the thing that I wanted to talk about, which can be useful. So this shader can be useful in very specific situations. So I'm going to show you what it does. Okay. It basically gives you just a normal PBR sort of light that you can adjust the smoothness and metallic of, which is great. And while you can see that it casts shadows, this is only true for the viewport in Unity. Using this shader and uploading to VRChat did not work, as in the cast shadows of the objects are not read by VRChat. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but I made a slight modification to it, to the shadows, and basically changed them from full forward shadows into something else. And now I'm going to show you, the look is pretty much the same here in the viewport. Create new material. I'm going to call it with shadow. Okay, so it's pretty much the same because I didn't change the shader itself, just the way it reads the shadows. And now, unlike this one here, we'll actually be able to see those cast shadows whenever we upload to VRChat. Again, I'm going to upload these resources if you would like to play around with them, experiment with them, see what you make. See what you make with it. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to delete these because we're not going to be using them. And I'm going to apply this shader here. And because I've planned it this way, I'm going to apply the flat shader to everything else, including including the little doodle lines. So now, did it work? Yeah, okay. So now it pretty much works. And the next step that we're going to do is move the light. Oh, there it is, all the way up at the top. Actually, before we do any of that, we are going to scale everything 100%. Because again, Quill assets are very small. And that's actually why I couldn't see the light. Okay. And we're just going to be using this directional light at the moment. I don't need another one. I think this one does a good job. I'm just going to zoom a little bit in here, see what's going on. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I kept some of the stuff flat shaded and some of it with shadows. Oh, there it is. There's always one asset that gets left behind. Okay.
It's nice.
So I think we got all of them. Yep. Perfect. No, we still need to get the water and the little island. Okay, so this is just the floor of the ocean, as it were, that I exported from Quill. And this piece of geometry here is going to be our water surface that we're going to apply a different shader to it. There's a couple
Is that geometry created in Unity, or is it also a Quill geometry, the water surface?
So the water surface here is just a plane from Maya. I did it that way because I was using a water shader that animates the vertices, and I needed it to have a high polygon count.
Yeah.
Now, that shader only works on PC, and it looks fantastic. I'm going to show it.
PC meaning in VRChat PC?
Yes, VRChat for PC. Yeah, it does not work on Quest. You will find that some of those assets are not Quest friendly. So you can actually have different shaders in the different versions, but usually you would want to keep it the same, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to quickly shade the water as well. So should I go over both of them? Because if you're only publishing for PC, I think the PC only one is quite beautiful.
Yeah, and let's see it.
I'm going to quickly show you. So I'm just going to drag it into here. Yeah, maybe it's good to show it because at first, whenever you apply it, it's going to do something really crazy. So I'm going to show you exactly what the crazy thing is. So shader, we're going to create a new material and call it water. Okay. Now whenever you apply it, I'm going to zoom all the way out to see exactly what it's doing. And at the moment you only get these weird flashes. That's because the default waves are set to really, really high. So let me see again. It's not being very friendly. Okay. So the reason why it's doing that is because our scene is not that big. So I'm just gonna put this down to 2. You can already see the changes and what it was actually doing. Yeah. So the waves by default are very fast and very high. And we need to slow them down. Probably even more than this. Maybe even more. So, and what I've tested before, I've actually added 6 zeros here because that's how extreme it is. So now we don't really see it anymore, but whenever we start applying the texture, it's gonna show more clearly. Oh, right, yeah. That's the yeah. So you can see it's actually doing some crazy stuff in there. I'm not gonna touch that. Just gonna maybe make it a little bit bluer. I'm actually gonna adjust the color later. But for now, I'm probably gonna leave it without. Maybe try this one. This one's quite nice. So this is what it looks like by default, but then again you can change the specular and the gloss. So you can get a more calm down effect. Something like this maybe. This looks nice.
That's cool.
And what I like to do now, check the error. No, that's fine. It's not gonna affect us. So for this part, if you don't make your own skyboxes, then it's best to just go to the asset store where you can find a lot of free ones. My preferred one is, I'm gonna show you right now. This one works really well with the Quill look. This one here.
Oh, that's cool.
I know it's kind of cutesy, but it actually looks very nice whenever you layer it on top of what you export from Quill. I'm not going to import the demo scene because sometimes that can cause other issues. And just let it load. Okay, so the way you apply it is you go to Window, Rendering, Lighting Setting, and try to find it here. As you can see, all the packs come with a lot of materials and shaders. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I think this one actually works really well with the scene. And
Super cool.
Yeah. And now we can adjust the color a little bit better. Maybe something lighter a little bit. I'm going to remove this because I think it's affecting the color. Yeah. So perhaps to get this perfect shade that I want, I would go in here and adjust that file, but we're not going to do that now. If you want to do
for that wave shader, you say like this is not just a texture that's sliding. I wonder, like, do you need a high-res plane for this, or can it just be a low-res polygon plane?
I suppose maybe you can make it higher res around the area where you're going to be seeing it.
I see. There is actual deformations. Yeah. I thought it's just a moving texture, but yeah.
No, you can get one just a moving texture.
Yeah.
But this one just works very nicely. Totally. Again, it doesn't work on Quest, which is a pity because it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
But if you want to adjust any of the files or textures, you just click on them, show in folder, and it just takes you exactly to where they are, and you just make your Photoshop adjustments or whatever it is you need. And one more thing, I'm going with a temperature color here on the light, just because it gives it a little bit more pop. I think it kind of works well. And yeah, I think we're set with that part for now. So to actually load it into VRChat and not just fall through the world, you have to add component. I'm going to add it to the base actually. So choose whichever mesh is your floor or ground, and add component, descriptor. Okay, and this actually gives you a spawn point, and an ID will be generated specifically for this scene, and you need that to work, and you also need it for whenever you build your scene for Quest as well. But we're going to talk more about that later.
So when you create your world in Quill, obviously you use the grid as like the horizontal plane, but do you build it on top of kind of a template or something, or like just to have the scale right, or is it doesn't matter really, like for VRChat? You know what I mean? Like if they have like a template that you can work off, so you don't have to mess around with the scale, or is it more about how you implement it yourself?
I wish there was a template maybe to make it a default thing, but I suppose it's good that it's down to the individual as well, because people in VRChat like to have extreme sized avatars, either very small or very big. Yeah. So you can't really control that, and this environment is going to look quite different for me as opposed to someone else. Yeah.
Okay, so when you create multiple worlds, for example, do you have for yourself, like, do you stay, for example, the island? Is that like, do you try to keep it the same scale with all the other environments you build, like kind of in the same location, and you know, use it as a base kind of? So when you import it to Unity, at least for you, it's always consistent. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So that's actually a very good point, because maybe the way to keep it consistent and a little bit easier for yourself is to have like a default sized avatar, or like a default it doesn't have to be human, but default human size.
Yeah.
So the average, and use that
Kind
in
of
your
a scale reference in Quill, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So we've added the descriptor that makes the scene work, and now we have to create our spawn point, which is just a game object, empty. And I'm gonna name it spawn point so I know what it is. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to make a few other groups. So this is going to be geometry because I am going to import other things in there, and I think it's good to keep it clean. I'm going to call this spawn points just because I'm going to add all of my entry points and exit points in here along with the spawn point, and the exit and entry points will be useful for when we make seats and other stuff that people sit on. So our spawn point is currently up in the air. For this world, I would like to put it here and have the viewer spawn in here. Now, the blue arrow is the direction in which you will be facing whenever you spawn in VRChat. You can rotate it to face the island, but I like to keep it facing away here in this particular instance because it's a very nice feeling to sort of spawn on this tiny island and just see the waves and the ocean, and slowly turn around and then discover the rest of the scene. So I think that's good enough. And we're going to go back to our base where we put the descriptor and drag this. Oh, wait. So first you have to give it a value of 1. That's your 1 spawn point. And then you have to drag it into here to actually activate it. And now again, we're going to have to apply mesh colliders. You can do this with box colliders instead if you want to be a little bit more efficient. And for quest worlds, definitely use box colliders instead of mesh ones, because the mesh ones do get more intricate and they're just harder to read or harder to process.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to apply a mesh collider. And the same here, because we're going to walk on it. And the same here. So add component, mesh collider. Okay. So now I think we have all of the colliders on, which is great. Let me just check the back.
Did you have to bring the flag animation in, or are you gonna do that later?
I'm gonna do this now. Just
okay,
like 1 second. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go back to our scene and bring in the flag. Okay, and to get the actual animation to work, to get it to work in viewport, you can just add it to the timeline, but that's not going to work in VRChat. So you have to create animator controller. I'm going to call it flag animation. And with it selected, we're going to go into animator, open the flag, and drag the stack in here. Okay, close it. And before I actually import it into the scene, I'm going to untick resample curves, off keyframe reduction, and loop time, and apply. Okay. And now I'm going to just drag it into the scene. And because we've zeroed out everything, we can just you could just copy the transforms, and then paste component values. Oh, right. Yeah, there we go. I think I copied it from the wrong place, but you get the point.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna drag the, oh, no. So the way to apply the shader to your whole loop without doing it on the individual shapes is to just drag your material into here, and it automatically applies it. So now to test it, I'm going to select main camera, see where it is. I think it's important to test along the way because you need to troubleshoot quick. Okay, and we're just going to press play. Oh, right, of course. That is absolutely my bad. We made the controller, but we didn't actually apply it. So in flag, you drag your animation controller into animation controller here, animator, and now it should work. Yep.
Ta-da!
So now that it works, and we're not going to worry about it, we can go back to our scene. I'm probably gonna leave this shader here. We're gonna deal with it later with the issues that come with it. Now I'm going to show you how to make a chair or a seat. I'm gonna drag the flag into geometry just to keep it kind of clean, and select the hammock that I have to focus. Okay, I really like the shadows that are cast on it already. I think it's a good sort of sitting point. And to get it to work, we're just gonna have to add a VRChat station that will prompt you to make more of these entry points. So create game object. We're just gonna call it hammock enter. Duplicate it, Control D, and call this hammock exit. Just gonna drag both of them in here and place them. So hammock enter is where your character is gonna be seated. So normally I would put it about here, just a little bit above your mesh. And because of the position that it's in, I'm going to tilt it backwards a little bit. Again, the blue arrow is where your character is going to be facing. And
so obviously that's going to be like a default sitting pose, right? Like that's not like you can't customize the pose. So you have to know what the shape is like when they're sitting and kind of blindly adjust it to what might look good, right?
Yes, and then
cool.
It will look slightly different for different avatars. So if your avatar is really big, it positions you differently.
It will intersect with everything, right?
Yeah. So if it's really big, it's probably just gonna... I don't even know if you can come through here if you're bigger than this. I don't know.
That's funny.
Guess we're gonna have to test it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the exit point is where you're gonna be whenever you exit your station. So I'm just
so you say if the collision boxes are too small, some avatars can go to certain places? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, can you say that again? If the collision...
so if the collision boxes are like too tight, right? Like certain avatars won't be able to go to places while smaller avatars can?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
That's also a recipe for getting stuck. But
I see.
You can always respawn.
I've had that happen quite a bit. I like big avatars. They're fun.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. I would say whenever you create worlds for VRChat, make them slightly bigger than you would normally, because there's always going to be someone huge who's just going to break the scene.
Funny.
I think I saw someone with an Iron Giant.
Like
avatar
life-size Iron Giant.
Life size. It was crazy.
It wasn't Kurt, right?
Well, wait. Can I import it?
Yours is probably way too high res, but
If you make it, if you simplify the mesh, then go ahead and break.
All right, Tyler, I'm gonna give it to you. I'll
Oh my
it for me.
goodness.
Thanks.
So
I'll give you $1.
$1. See? Okay, so now that we have the entry and exit points, we just drag them into here. See that? You can you can be very evil and disable station exit, which means you're stuck there. But we're not going to do that here. And
what's the purpose of having that function?
I think you can use it for...
Or like seated rides or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to actually be able to sit on this, we're going to add a box collider. Mesh colliders sometimes act weird. So for example, if you have an object that you want to pick up, Mesh collider will sometimes not work, not allow you to properly interact with the object. So it is advised that for everything you interact with, just use box colliders. It might be a little bit more awkward, but with the difference in avatars anyway, it's going to look different for everyone, so it's not a problem.
So that means basically if you get in proximity into the collider, you will get like the prompt that you can take an action, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can have like a very small piece of geometry here and a huge...
Yeah, that makes sense.
box.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller.
So is there a way for you to actually have like a dummy avatar to actually see the pulse, or do you have to build it and go into VRChat and test it?
So there is a way to do that. There's an add-on you can get. Again, I will link it after the stream.
Yeah.
But you can get it for Unity, and basically it mimics the way you sort of see it in VRChat.
Yeah.
So you can use it to test your stuff without building.
Yeah, I think that would help a lot, right? Like visually.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Though normally I prefer to just go in because there's always stuff that you see that maybe you've missed or they're interacting weird with. Okay. So now we have the box collider, the station script. Yeah, pretty much this is a seat now. You can sit on it and interact with it. Perhaps I'm going to make the collider a little bit smaller if anyone wants to, go through there. And exit edit collider. And now we're going to apply shader to this stuff as well because we missed it. So I'm going to bring in these assets here. They're just a couple of floating inflatable just 1 second. Just gonna scale it all. Okay. And apply the shader again. Okay. And I have this one here as well.
It is Maya assets or Quill?
No,
assets?
Quill. Yep.
Okay.
So it's just stuff that I've exported separately from Quill, as an under separate layer, just because I wanted to have a bit more control. You can see where it sort of meets.
Oh, yeah. It's not Yari's technique.
No. I'm going to drag this all into two. Yeah. Still clean. Okay. And so, for example, let's say you want to interact with this object. Pretty much you're just going to add, again, a box collider. I'm going to tweak it real quick, just so it's a little bit tighter. Sometimes with the pickup objects, if you have bigger colliders on them, and gravity and interaction, sometimes they can act weird. So I like to keep the box collider tight. It can even go a bit into the geometry. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to exit, add component, VRC pickup. Okay, and it comes with the rigid body that it needs to function. And pretty much, I'm gonna set it to auto hold and allow manipulation when held, because I like to give people the control over how to hold their objects. You can force a particular angle or position for how this is going to be held by saying orientation, grip, or gun, and then creating, again, empty game objects like we did before, and dragging them into here. So you'll be able to just position the arrows exactly how you want it to be picked up, but I prefer to leave that to the user. So yeah, I think we got it. We have mesh colliders.
Just a time check for you. You're 45 minutes in. So.
Perfect. So I'm just gonna quickly make entry and exit points for these ones, because I want I want to be able to sit on them. And okay, duplicate, exit. Just gonna make them and then apply them. Okay, so stripe. You don't have to actually name anything here, but if you have multiple objects in the scene, then it makes sense to keep it clean, so it's more manageable. For some reason that one popped all the way there, but it's not a problem. We'll just quickly move it to where it needs to be. So I'm just gonna say maybe facing that way, that's fine. I quite don't like how it's going into the geometry. You can readjust those things, those assets. They don't have to sit in the same position that you brought them in. So I'm gonna bring this into here as well. Okay, and again, perhaps I'm going to give it a slight tilt. Okay, add component, box, collider, and VRC station. Okay, enter. Exit, and now you should be able to sit on it. I'm actually not going to do the rest of them right now because we don't have that much time, so I'm just gonna quickly show the sound. So I already picked out the sound that I want in here, and I'm gonna import both of them because I don't want to use both. One is water sound, and the other one is a song that I want to play just in one specific area of the scene. Just takes just a little bit to load. There we go. So what you do now, you don't drag them into the viewport. you drag them into the hierarchy. And you see that it's been placed there. It doesn't really matter because I'm not going to use spatialization on it. So to get it to work, you need to apply the VRC spatial audio source. It doesn't matter if you plan to use spatialization or not. So I'm going to untick it and set the default volume to something like 0.2. I don't want it to be too loud. I think it's super important to consider why you're building the world that you're building. So if you're just wanting to display your work, it doesn't really matter how the user maybe interacts with it. But if you're building a world specifically for VRChat, I think the more you have going on, as in the more you give the user things to do, the more they will like your world. So it's just a matter of what's important. So I'm going to drag this into here as well. Oh, nearly dragged it into the viewport. Okay. So I want it to play just here, as if it's coming from inside. So add component, VRC spatial audio. Okay. And I'm going to up this to here. This is already, yeah, okay. So this means it's only going to be playing around here. I'm actually going to make this smaller. We don't need it so big. Okay. And I think we're pretty much done. This is your basic setup. So what you do from here is you go to VRChat SDK control panel, you log in, and you're going to have to set up the layers and the collision matrix for it to work. Now it's going to give you this this error, but we're not going to be too bothered with it now. You can, from here on, you can go to build and test your scene and see if you missed anything and if everything is working correctly. Or you can just go straight to publishing if you're super confident that everything is in check. I'm going to do a quick build and test. And then we're quickly going to go over how to set up the same scene for Quest. And don't worry, we don't have to do the same process all over again.
So this already opened VRChat in your headset?
Yes. So whenever you say build and test, it automatically connects to, if it detects a headset, it will connect to it.
But this is just local on your machine right now, right?
Yeah. So this is local. No one has access to it. You are technically in VRChat, but yeah.
So you can test everything for yourself.
Yes, just for yourself. So already I see that I can walk fine. I'm not falling through the world, and that's a good sign. I'm just going to go over here. This water is really beautiful. Works nicely with Quill assets, I think. Yeah.
Are you always using this comfort mode for moving through the scene?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think I've played enough VRChat to develop that insane
anti-nausea.
resistance. I can do it for a little
for the
bit.
people that never used it, what you're seeing is you can just teleport, but what VRChat does is while you're pointing at where you want to go, it shows you the avatar running towards that point, right?
Yeah. So, okay, so here you have the comfort and safety section where this is what I have activated right now, holoport. Yeah, which allows me to move by teleporting instead of...
Yeah, I think it's just a standard teleporter. Yeah. The only difference is that they show the third person running towards that point, right? Yeah. Like in the beginning, it was so confusing to me. I'm like, what am I looking at? But then you get it a few times.
You can go like this into full first person, as I call it. But yeah, it can get a bit too much. Oh, okay. So we can see that we can pick it up, throw it, it's working fine. For some reason it spawned here, I don't know why, I think it's something to do with the collision box, so I'm gonna have to look into it later. But basically, yeah, the scripts work. And let's see if I can sit. Seems like I can sit. I'm gonna quickly check the sound.
I don't think we're hearing the sound, but I think it will be in the recording. So
I don't hear it either. I think.
I see.
Okay. Oh, we didn't. Okay, so we didn't set up the.
There's.
Yeah, we didn't set up the stair collision box properly. You can do it with just a simple box to not have to climb like this. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and see.
Teleport up.
Teleport up.
So the world looks really big. That's because your avatar is really small, right?
Yeah, so my avatar is a little bit smaller than default. I would say perhaps this one, say.
Oh, Dragon Ball!
It didn't change. Let's do it again. Yeah, and let it load. This one seems to be the same size. I'm not going to show you all of my Dragon Ball avatars. I have a lot of them. Yeah. I think this isn't the properly adjusted geometry because in the one that I did publish, I moved it a little bit more, so it doesn't have this effect. I think you can see it, right?
Is that the Z fighting? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you don't want to use Blender or Maya or anything in between to adjust it, you can just re-export it from Quill right into the asset folder of the Unity project, and it'll automatically update. So I'm going to quit, and that brings us back to RC. So again, to set up the stairs, you just go to Add Component, and then Box, Collider, and then you tweak things. So I'm not going to go over that because of time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save what we have right now and close. Toon Island 2. That's the folder that we were working in. So I'm going to copy it, Control C, and paste it into here. It doesn't matter where you paste it, you can paste it anywhere, but it's important that it's the same file. It has to be a duplicate because it holds the same data, and therefore you will be able to publish under the same ID, which means that people on Quest or PC or PCVR, doesn't matter what platform you use, you'll all be able to be in the same instance.
So you're actually uploading two builds, and then VRChat will choose between your headset, but they are interconnected.
Yes.
I see.
So you rename it something else, so you know what it is, and paste it back in here. So now I'm going to open the hub again and say add. Select my folder.
So coming back to the question I had earlier, if it's not Quest compatible, is there something, a gatekeeper that basically from VRChat saying rejecting your world because it's not Quest compatible, or can you just build anything for Quest and it's just low performance?
So you do have some hard limits on it. And I'm going to show you now. It's actually going to tell you if it allows you to publish it or not.
Okay.
So,
and it tells you what you need to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You can actually get this add-on here, Unity Setup Android Support, and it will help you figure out what's happening in your scene and what needs to be fixed or optimized, or if there's any broken links or scripts or stuff like that.
That's cool.
So this is basically the same file as before, just named differently. And what you do is you go to File, Build Settings, And now this doesn't automatically give you the option. Yeah, you do have to download the Android app for it. I'm going to link it again at the end of the stream. But what you do here is you just switch platform after you get it. If you don't have it, this menu here will actually send it to you. So you'll have a pop-up option that sends you directly to the website where you downloaded it from. So it's quite easy. But it does take a little bit to switch platform, just because it's compressing things, I think.
Kritzloff said Dragon Ball Z fighting.
I know I wanted to share that joke too. I could find a good spot.
It's such a niche joke, right? It's like multi-layered.
Yeah, it actually does work on so many levels. Okay, so
Does it mean you're sad if you actually understand that joke? It says a lot about you, and let's say that if someone understands that joke. Is it frozen or is it still computing?
It's still computing, so I'm actually thinking of stopping it because it doesn't really matter. The process of publishing is the same. So perhaps I'm gonna just cancel it. Escape.
So you learned this all on your own, right? Like through online documentations and stuff?
Yeah, so all the information is more or less available. You do have to have seek it out and experiment a lot. I've broken many scenes.
Did you have prior experience with Unity? Like do you use it at work, or are you all self-taught in the tool?
I've exported a few things to Unity before from Maya, but I'd say that this is the most comfortable I've got with it.
I see. That's cool.
So I'm going to just quickly show you the scene that I've prepared before, which is exactly the same scene. But though it's important to mention this for whenever you upload both builds, because this can break it super easily as well. Okay, so I've placed my descriptor, my VRC descriptor on base as well. So you see after you build and publish, it gives you this blueprint ID, which is specific to your world. So now when you go to Content Manager, all of the stuff that you have published will pop here. And if, say, this is the Android build scene, what you do to publish under the same ID that your initial Windows build was published on, you go to Copy ID, you go to Detach. I'm going to do it and see. Okay, Detach, copy paste, and then reattach. And now it has the same blueprint. And you go to build and publish. So I'm just going to do this right now so you can see what happens when you do build and publish.
And then on the VRChat side, it decides if you have a PC, it shows you that. And if you have the Quest, it shows you the Android.
Yeah, it automatically sorts you out. But again, if you publish for both, you shouldn't have any issues being in the same instance with anyone else on any other platform. Oh, I do have to say one more thing about publishing for Quest. I did notice the colors are super bright. So what you see here, which is
I think the black levels are like much brighter too on Quest. It's a different color space.
Yeah, and very vibrant.
Yeah, I noticed like all my dark scenes, like my telekinesis one, is like very saturated black on the Rift. Yeah. But then it's like almost gray, on the Quest. It's much brighter.
Check it on Quest as well.
Yeah, the blacks are not as dark, let's say that.
Okay, so this is the menu that pops up whenever you go to publish. You just give it a name. Player capacity. This is basically, so it is a limit, but if you have friends in the instance already, they can invite you in and invite more people, and then the limit doesn't actually exist as a hard cap. So you put your description, your tags, you confirm that you can upload it, and then you just press upload. and here to change the image that pops up here. What happens is that it takes the image your VRC cam sees. To change that, I'm just gonna move this here. You go back to your scene and you can reposition it however way you like. And then you go back to game and you see it's already updated. And you can just upload. I'm not gonna upload on top of what I have already, but this is basically the process. Okay. And that's it. That's your basic setup for VRChat. And I think now we are ready to actually go and see some stuff.
That's awesome. So basically, once you have published it, it opens. You can access it in your VRChat library, in the live library of your sets.
Yes.
And then you can start inviting people directly to your...
So whenever you publish it, it should actually appear under your worlds, my worlds. This section doesn't exist until you publish your first world. And then it just pops here and everything is accessible to you here. Now you need a new user status at least to be able to publish. And even then your worlds are private.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because you can invite people in. The way you get the user status is basically you spend a bit of time in VRChat, you friend some people. It can take one evening, honestly, if you really want.
Yeah.
So the process is very simple, actually. It gets more complicated if you want to have triggers and other things in there, but for that you will have to actually work with the udon graph. I don't think there's another way around it if you want your custom stuff, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So you basically go here, udon graph, and then
Yeah, thank you so much for the stream. This was like super awesome. We have kind of like an after party prepared here where we can actually meet in the space. I pinned Ruxandra's message in the panel text chat. So check out the pin where you can see her username. Make sure to send her a friend request and we will hop right in. So
I'm just gonna super quickly show you where to find the invite that I'm gonna send.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Just to make sure anyone who hasn't used it before knows where to find it. Okay, so whenever you go into VRChat and you go to your menu here, your main menu on your hand, the invite will pop here in notifications.
Cool. All right. So check your notification button, everyone. Wait for her invite, and we'll see you in there. Thanks you so much again, Ruxandra.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and see you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Bye bye.
See you in a bit.
Bye. Bye.
How are you guys shooting?
It's like a thing with this.
Are you sitting on the toilet, man? You can change the settings so that you stand up.
Can we actually go into this house?
No, but we can go on top of the house.
Ooh.
So follow me. I know it looks like we're going away from the top, but we're actually...
Parkour.
Ow.
Oh god.
Whoa! It actually felt awkward.
Oh, I suppose I should have warned. Okay, so just go into the cave. Go in, go in, go in.
Nice.
So cool.
I suppose I should have made this place bigger.
I'm upstairs.
Alright. There's a lot of people up here.
Who is this rat here down here? Look at this rat.
Hey, Yari is here.
Finally, Yari.
Can't see you though yet. Yeah, what?
Rocks.
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed on your maps was that we can't jump on any of them.
Yeah.
I think you have to turn that on, right?
So to be able to jump, you have to get what do you call it? A script for it.
It's like a plugin.
Yeah. So it's like another one of those. It's another one of those things that you add into the scene, but.
It's so pathetic that you're talking to that rat.
Excuse me.